And I don't know if this is going to turn into a video. We'll find out. But I've done this before. I've read 10 books in March. So I've read almost a book a day. The first book that I read in March was The Oxford Brotherhood by Guillermo Martinez. These are books that I finished in March. Some of them I may have started earlier. I think I started all these in March though. I started my journey of reading books from a subscription that I want to cancel. I did a reread, which was Sula by Toni Morrison. I finished a book that I had been reading for a while called Black and Buddhist, and that was edited and compiled by Pamela Ayo-Yatunde and Cheryl A. Giles. 10 books that I've read so far. And like I mentioned, I'm trying to get rid of this subscription. So my plan is to read a lot this month. So what I was thinking was, what if I read a book a month? So I think we should track it and see how many books I can read in how many days. I'm currently reading The Appeal by Janice Hallett. It's in the other room. I didn't pick it up. So I started that last night and I really got into the meat of it today. And then on audio, I'm reading Lady Takes the Case, which is a cat cozy mystery. So I will be doing a cat cozy mystery vlog for that book. And then on those short stories, I have quite a bit that I want to read. I made a little spreadsheet going through all the different collections of stories and picking out the ones that I really want to read. But the ones that I have currently out, so the next that I might read, are The Knight and the Butcher Bird by Alexi Harrow, The Shortest Day by Colm Tilbeen, The Best Girls by Min Jin Lee, The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez, Stockholm by Catherine Steadman. I'm super excited to get to that one. Clap Back by Nalo Hopkinson, Six Deaths of a Saint by Alexi Harrow, and We Are Bone and Earth by Essie Edgigan by Essie Edgian. So those are a bunch of books that I currently have out that I want to read, a bunch of stories. And I think what I'll do is I'll just film from here on out for the rest of the time and see how many stories and how many books I can read in how many days. So when I've done this before, like if there's a day where I don't read or don't finish a book, that's fine. I'll keep going to the next day and see. But when that streak is broken by like a couple of days, or it looks like I'm not going to catch up, that's when I'll end the video. Let's see how many books I can read in how many days throughout the rest of March. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned here, or let me know if there's any of those short stories that you've read that you like really, really loved. I do have a short story tier rank video out, and I have another one in the works. So I have read at least 40 of those short stories, which is a lot. I plan on reading more than that before I get rid of the subscription. So I'll probably have 2 more tier rank videos to like close out that chapter of reading. So like I said, if there's some that you've read, let me know if you think I should definitely read them. It's a while later. I didn't update you because I wasn't sure like if this video was working, if this was going to be a video. So hopefully I've inserted some clips. When we left off, I think I had read my 10th book. I have also read Undercover, The Appeal, Stockholm, and The Fall Risk, not in that order. The reason that I thought this wasn't working, or I didn't know if it was working, was because I have read 15 books in 15 days, but it's March 17th. I was like, I didn't read 2 books for the first 2 days of March, so like, am I reading a book a day? But yes, I'm still reading a book a day. I'm just not reading it for the calendar month, right? So we're gonna keep going with this vlog. I'm feeling good about it. I've already read my book for today to catch up, and then I'm currently reading Dusk or Dawn or Dusk or Dark or Dawn or Day, or Dusk or Dark or Dawn or Day, whatever. Some collection of those words by Shauna Maguire. I thought this fit both reading off my own TBR because I haven't done that a lot this month, and for a book by an Irish author. She's of Irish descent, but she's American, I believe. So hopefully I'm going to finish that today or tomorrow. I'm also reading a nonfiction physically, and then I do need to pick another. Oh, and then I'm reading a short story collection physically, so that's my fiction book. And then I will need to pick another audiobook when that's done. So, still on track. I still have been reading a book a day. I have read 15 books in 15 days. Let's see if I can keep going. possum's really crunching. Oh yeah, it's a possum. It's now March 24th, and I have read, wait, how many books? I started this challenge on March 2nd. It is now March 24th, so I should be at 22 books, but I'm actually at 19 books. I've been reading a lot of short stories. I do plan on reading more short stories, and I do think that I can catch up on those 2 books today. So I've read 19 books. I need to have read 22 books. So actually I need to read 3 books. But like I said, when I do challenges like this, or when I see how many I've read, it's more like what I'm going to come up with reading. I've read 19 books in 22 days, which is pretty amazing. Sometimes I've read multiple books. I've read, I think, 3 or 4 books on one day, and then maybe gone a day or 2 without reading a book. So at this point, I've gone a day or 2 without finishing a book. So I am hoping to finish a couple of books today to catch up. So I don't know if this is like an interesting vlog premise. I don't know if this is going to be an interesting vlog. I guess my impetus for creating this, for recording this, is that it's not something that happens super often. Last month I only read 13 books, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's a little bit, but it's much less than 19 books. It's much less than 22 books, which is the longest period of days that I've read a book a day. So last year in May, I read 22 books in 22 days. So we're getting close to that. So I think it's like worth noting. I think it's worth filming. I think it's worth talking about, even if it's for me to just go back to and look at another time or recognize this time in my life. Probably we should try to beat last year and see how many more books in that amount of days we can read if we can surpass 22 books in 22 days. Or are we going to end the video here? Are we going to end this challenge here? I will get so far behind I can't catch up. Like right now I'm behind, but I could catch up. So we'll have to find out. Okay, we've read a bunch more books. Here's some of the books that I've read. I read a bunch more short stories. We're still going strong. I have read 24 books in 25 days. So in order to stay ahead, I will need to read another book today. I finished Trespasses this morning, or I will have to read 2 books tomorrow, or, etc., etc. Now, I'm way ahead of the amount of books that not way ahead, but like I'm ahead of the books that I've read in the amount of days. So the last year in May, I read 22 books in 22 days. I have now read 24 books in 24 days, but it's the 25th day, so I need to read another book. How do I feel? I feel okay. I'm getting sick of short stories, but I'm doing that for another added reason as well. So maybe I should slow down on reading short stories, because the thing is I'm feeling like pretty burnt out, like pretty sick of short stories at the moment, and I feel like I'm not doing them that much justice because they are kind of blurring together. I have some ideas of what I want to read next. I'm currently reading The Catcher Was a Spy, which is a baseball book that I'm reading for opening day. Today is opening day, so I'm not going to get that video out in time. I am reading a book of short stories for the TBR Spin in February, so I have that. That's what I read this morning. And then I do need to pick another fiction book, and I need to pick another audio book. We'll see if I catch up or if this is where I leave you. I feel like every time I do one of these check-ins, it's either that the next time I see you I'm going to say, okay, it's over, or I'm going to say, let's keep going. are you doing? Stop holding that tree. Mo of the Future here. I was working on this video and editing this video, and this part really needs a little bit of clarity before we move on to the next part. So in March of 2025, I actually started my reading on March 3rd. I think earlier in the video I said March 2nd, but March 3rd was the first day. And then I did read 28 books from March 3rd to March 31st. I did continue this challenge on to April. So from April 1st to April 4th, I continued to read books. And so really, I read 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So really I read 32 books in 32 days. And then I was going to continue this challenge, and I was going to update you, and I was going to do more on this video in April of this year, but I ended up not ever getting back on track. So I was hoping to just keep it going and see how long I could read and see how many books I could read. I'd already read 32 books in 32 days, but I did miss a day on April 6th. Hey, how you doing? I did miss a day on April 6th, and I was never able to catch back up and get another day in there. So in April, I read 24 books all together. So I did read a lot of books. In March, I read 28 books altogether, and in April, I read 24 books. 52 books in 61 days, which is a lot of books and a lot of days. I was happy where I was in March 2025 and reading 32 books in 32 days throughout March and April. But then September rolled around, and I wanted to see if I could purposefully try this video, because I think I mentioned early on in this challenge that I had never purposefully tried to do it. I had always just read and seen where I was. So in September, I decided to purposefully do it, which is the next part of this video, which you're going to see in just a moment. Something else that I wanted to mention about the early part of this video, I don't think it comes across clearly enough that this is just for fun. I was going to try and read a book every day until that didn't happen, and I was only doing it for fun. I wasn't doing it for any other reason. I wasn't rushing through books, although I had other things that I wanted to do, like read a lot of short stories and get ready for my short story videos and do things like that. There wasn't a weird motive. I was just having fun. I was just reading until it wasn't fun to read anymore. And then in May, I only read 12 books. So I don't feel like I need to read a book a day. I don't feel like I need to read a certain amount of books in a month. If I read 8 books in a month, if I read 10 books in a month, that's really my very happy place. I do tend now to read more 15 to 20 books in a month. But another thing worth noting about that is I devote a lot of time to reading, and I don't really watch TV. I don't really watch movies. I don't really do any other hobbies unless they're hobbies that I can also do while I'm reading an audiobook. So hey, Andre, quit it. Don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't use my challenge and my fun time of looking into this to feel bad on yourself. If you are reading 1 book a month, that's a great accomplishment, and you are definitely a reader, and you belong to be here, and you belong to be in BookTube, and you belong to be in any reader spaces. If you read part of a book a month, that's fine. As long as you love reading, as long as you love books, as long as you want to be here, you're totally welcome on my channel and everywhere in the bookish spaces. I just wanted to make sure it was clear, because I don't want anyone to think that I was doing this to the detriment of my reading or to the detriment of my good time or whatever. And that goes for September as well. So you'll see how my reading went in September, but again, I wasn't forcing myself to read. I wasn't reading to the point where I didn't understand what was going on in the books that I was reading, etc., etc. So I think it's important to note that, and I never want to do anything with my reading that's not enjoyable. There are times that I will push through my reading because I want to be reading or I'm in a slump and I want to get out of the slump. There are times when I'm reading a lot and I don't remember every single thing about everything that I've read, and maybe that's due to wanting to read other things, maybe that's due to mental health, maybe that's due to whatever. I'm never not digesting what I read. I'm never not understanding what I read. I'm never not remembering what I read. That doesn't mean I remember every single detail of every single book. I read because I love being immersed in the stories, and I read because I want to revisit authors that I love or characters that I love or stories that I love. So I enjoy reading. It's something that relaxes me. It's something that inspires me. It's something that enhances my brain. It's something that I learn from. It's something that teaches me. So I read for all those reasons. And when I do a challenge like this, it's more just for myself. It's more just so that I can see what happens. It's not like any kind of big deal. It's not something that I am going to feel bad about myself if I don't complete, or something that I'm going to do in despite of reading. Like, I'm not going to do it until I feel bad about reading. I'm only going to do it because I feel good about reading. So now on to the next part of this video. Been a long time. When I first started this video, I started it because whatever month that was, months ago, I was seeing that I was basically reading a book a day and I wanted to see how far I could get. I didn't read a book every day of that first month, but in the next month I did continue. I was also seeing that I looked like I was going to read a book every day. I also didn't read a book every day in that month. I don't remember what months those are. I'm sure you've seen it more recently than I have, so you will know what months I'm talking about. But now it's September, and it is September 7th, and I decided that I'm going to read a book a day, and that's how we're going to finish this video out. So I have never intentionally tried to read a book a day. Last year, maybe it was even 2 years ago, I did read 22 books in 22 days. I've already surpassed that in this video. Once I realized I was doing it, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep doing it, but I've never actively started the month saying, yes, I am going to read a book every day. One of the reasons that I wanted to do that was to finish this video. The other reason is because it's Shorty September in September, and I have a lot of short books and I want to get through books. So I thought this would be a great time to read 30 books in 30 days or more, if I can read more, and try to read down some of the books that I have, but also really push myself to try and read a book a day. Now, the caveat to that and pushing myself to read a book a day is if I'm not enjoying it or if I'm not enjoying my reading, I won't do it. I won't push myself to the point where I don't enjoy my reading. But there's enough things between graphic novels, short stories, short nonfictions. I just got the next in a series that I was super excited to get to immediately. And there's a couple of other books like that that I'm super excited to dive into. So I think I can keep up this momentum, and I think I can do it. That's what the end of this video is going to be about. And it's perfect because today is the 7th, so maybe I'll try to check in with you, just short check-ins at the end of every week, and then at the end we'll talk about the whole experience, about everything. But in this check-in, all that aside, it's September 7th, but I've only read 6 books so far. So I have read 6 books, these and a short story that I read online. I do have a Shorty September video that shows some of the other books that I'm thinking about reading or I'm interested in reading in this video, and I did just finish What Feasts at Night, which I was super excited that I read this in 12 hours. I devoured it. I really love this series and I was super excited to get to it right away. In that Shorty September video, I also talk about how for Shorty September, I usually consider books from 176 pages to 250 pages, short books, when it comes to novellas. And I say that I'll probably read more books of that length, but because I wanted to dive into this book is only like 147 pages. So I will be reading some actual novellas. I will be reading short stories. I will be reading short nonfiction. Maybe I'll even get to a play. I don't know. Who knows? I've only read 6 books so far, but I only have 2.5 hours left of my current audiobook. So I'm going to try and finish that today. I'll try to check in with you at least next week and let you know my progress. I don't feel far behind yet already. I don't finish a book every single day in these, but I read the amount of books for the amount of days. So even though I've read 6 books in 7 days, 2 of those books I finished in the same day, and then there were days that I didn't finish books. So that still counts to me. So that could end up being today. Like, I finished 1 book already today, and I'm hopefully gonna finish another one. Maybe tomorrow I won't finish a book. Have you ever attempted to read a book a day? I'm nervous, but I'm excited. It is September 15th. It is the second week of my 30 and 30. It is time to do an update on how this 30 and 30 is going, if I think I can read a book a day for 30 days, where we're at so that we can finish this vlog up, because I've been doing this vlog for months. I want to talk about what I'm currently reading. Currently on audio, I am reading The Library at Helbor by Cassandra Khaw. You'll hear more of my thoughts on all these books in my September wrap-up. We'll do a little recap at the end of this video as well. I'm reading this on audio. Hopefully I'm going to get close to finishing this today. I don't think I'm actually going to finish it. I did start Rocket Fantastic, which are poems by Gabrielle Calvico-Rezi. I read a book by this author, a book of poetry, while I was cat sitting last month, and I loved it so much, so I wanted to get another of her work, and I'm not enjoying it as much, but I've really only read a couple of poems. I don't even think I put my bookmark in it. And actually, that first poetry book that I read of hers, I didn't love in the beginning either, and it's probably going to make it to my favorites of the year. So we'll see how it goes for this one. Then, lastly, I started this morning The Uncommon Reader by Alan Bennett. This is a very short novella. I don't have the actual book right now. I just brought the jacket. I'm liking it so far, and I'm hoping to finish it either tonight or tomorrow morning. Let's talk about what I've read so far and where I am in this challenge. I have read, like I said, don't forget, it is the 15th of September, so I should have read 15 books. I've read 13 books so far. I've finished 13 books. I read Symptoms of Belonging, Offshore, Mother Swamp, Blackmail, The Legacy of Molly Southbourne, What Feasts at Night, Castle for Rent, Double Blind, The Vampire, The Six Deaths of a Saint, The Elusive Mrs. Polifax, Father of Water, and Swimming Lessons, which I finished yesterday on Sunday. I'm 2 books behind, or really I'm 1 book behind because I still have the rest of the day. It's like 6 o'clock. It's 5:30. So I have the rest of the day to finish a book. So I'm going to try and read more of this. I'm going to try to read a good chunk of this, and I'm currently reading this on audio. So I won't probably finish any of these if I had to guess today, but what will happen is I'll end up like finishing 2 of them tomorrow. So then I'll still be 1 book behind, but at least I will keep catching up. That's how this challenge for me goes. Even when I'm not doing it as a challenge, even when I just notice that I'm reading a book a day, as long as you read the 30 books in 30 days or the 28 books in 28 days, etc., then you're still on track. So to me, I'm 1 book behind, but I'm still working on it. So we'll see. We'll check in next week, see where I'm at. It's a while later, and I never checked back in because I failed the second part of this challenge. So you've already seen the first part. I did actually achieve my goal of reading as many books as I could in as many days. So I did end up reading 32 books in 32 days, which is definitely an achievement for sure, and it's 10 more than I have ever read before. My previous record was 22 books in 22 days. So for the end of this challenge, I did end up reading quite a bit of books in September. I did read 24 books in September, but at some point I just could not catch back up. And it was pretty early on in the challenge that I knew that I was not going to make it. Like, I was not going to be able to read a book a day. There was a lot going on in September. I traveled. We were getting ready for our friends to come in October because they were coming to town for like a month. They weren't staying with us, but we still needed to like get the house under control. September is like back to school. Even for me, it's the end of the busy season at one job and the start of the busy season at another job, but it's still kind of busy in both jobs. So I wasn't able to complete this challenge, which is totally fine. But here are some takeaways that I got from doing this challenge. Number one is that I did complete the challenge, but it was easier for me to complete the challenge when it was more on a whim. When I realized I was reading a book that corresponded to every day. So when I had first started, I had read 10 books in 10 days. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, I'm going to continue doing this. And that was the premise of this whole video. And that's an easier way for me to complete this challenge. When I set out to read a book a day, because I kind of did that for 2 months because I planned on continuing into April, and then I like set myself a goal of that in September. I wasn't as into the challenge. It wasn't as interesting to me. It wasn't as fun to fulfill, and it was easier to give up, which is totally fine because, like I said before, this challenge for me is all just for fun. So I find that if I'm going to do this challenge again, I'm going to do it organically. I am going to just see that I'm reading a lot, and then I'm going to continue reading a lot. Takeaway number 2 is that I really, really enjoy the ritual of reading a book a day. I really love the thinking ahead of what I'm going to read. I really love putting the time aside to read every day a little bit more. I love pushing myself to read audiobooks. I love to read really short work for things like this, or comics, things that I don't read as often. And I love the ritual of finishing a book because I have a lot of rituals to finish a book. I write it down in several places. I mark it off on my Goodreads. I mark it off on my Storygraph. If it's a book that I own, I mark it off on my Rab spreadsheet. So I love that part. That really helps drive me to finish a book because every day I want to be crossing things off. Every day I want to be hitting those list goals, which I really, really like and is really fun for me. Takeaway number 3 is that I like this challenge because it does get me in a reading groove. Like, I definitely get in the spirit of reading, in the mood of reading. I'm excited to read every day. I am just like in the zone for reading, and that's when this challenge works the best. And that is partly why I think, going back to the first part, planning to do this challenge doesn't work for me because I'm a mood reader. I have to be in the right mood to do the challenge. So it's a mood-based thing, as is all my reading. Takeaway number 4 is that it does leave me with a book hangover when I'm finished with this challenge. Even on the months that I didn't complete it, even in October, I read about half as many books as I read in September. So my average nowadays is anywhere from like 15 to 20 books a month, and that's like a comfortable spot for me, even though that seems like an excessive amount. When I do that challenge, I end up reading a lot less the next month. So in September, I read 24 books, but in October, I only read 13 books, which is totally fine and still a lot of books and still a great month of reading. And I had a great month. This challenge doesn't put me in a slump. I still really want to read, but because I get out of that reading groove, that reading mentality, I think I end up not picking up books as often. I end up not reading as much when I pick up books. I end up not like reading a whole book in a day like I do during the challenge, which is a really fun part of the challenge, is like starting a book and finishing a book in one day or in like a 24-hour period. I love that. When I'm done, I get out of that habit and then I really go into a little bit of a lull. It's harder for me to pick books. It's harder for me to stay focused on books a lot of times. So it's not a slump because I'm still reading and I'm still enjoying my reading, but it is like a book hangover where I've read so many books and then I like feel a little like, whew, Like, you need to take a little bit of a breather. Or not even that I need to, but that I automatically do. Which is, again, totally fine. And I think those are like the main things that I learned from doing this challenge. And I probably will end up doing this again because I'm a mood reader, because it'll strike my mood, because it'll just happen organically, which is great. And I look forward to that. But I don't think I will try, like, force myself to do it or set out a plan to do it again in the future, or at least not anytime soon. So a couple of stats, I wrote it down on this pharmacy prescription bag, are that in March, I read 28 books. In April, I read 24 books. And in September, I read 24 books. The total amount of books in amount of days that I read was I read a book a day for 32 days. And that was between the beginning of March to the beginning of April. So in total, over 3 months, I read 76 books. I read 25 of those books physically and the rest on audio. So I read 20 books on audio in March and 8 books physically, 20 books on audio in April and 4 books physically, not very many, and then 11 books on audio and 13 physically for September. So that had a lot to do with trying to complete another challenge I was doing at the same time, which was getting rid of that subscription and trying to read as many of those short stories as I could. I was also reading things like The Vampire in September for Vamptember, which I don't own physically, but I wanted to read. So I was reading a lot more like short works on audio over this challenge than I normally would. A question that you might have is if I ever got rid of that subscription, and I didn't. I definitely failed at getting rid of that subscription. So that secondary challenge did not work well for me. I was thinking about it this morning and I need to just get rid of it, and then if I really want to read one of those short stories, I could just pay for it. I could just purchase it to read. The thing that I like about getting the short stories for free is not only that I get them for free, because they're not free. I am paying for the service, so I am paying for those short stories. But the thing that I like about it is I don't have to keep all of them, but I can keep the ones that I love and I want to reread. So certain ones of those short stories I've really, really loved and I want to reread many times. The Veronica Roth stories comes to mind, the Rebecca Roanhorse story comes to mind, the Alex E. Harrow stories come to mind, and those I want to keep, but I like that I can read a bunch of those short stories and then just give them back. Whereas if I stop that subscription but then buy the short stories ad hoc or a la carte, if you will, then I will need to keep them all or just eat the $2 or whatever it is and get rid of them. But either way, it feels nice to like return them, like borrow them and return them as opposed to purchase them. I guess that's just a general feeling, a good feeling that you get with the library and stuff like that. And one of the reasons that I love using Libby and Hoopla is that I can read books that I already own, but I read them audio, or I can read a book and then return it. And sometimes it's fun to read a book, return it, and realize you want a physical copy and then go get that. Oh, Chippy's gonna use his scratching post. Good boy, Chippy. Good boy. So in conclusion, I'm super glad that I did this challenge. I'm glad that I recognize when I'm reading a book a day and then keep up that momentum. I'm glad that I continued it into the next month and couldn't complete the challenge in the next month. That was a good realization for me because I did struggle with the idea of not starting on the first and ending on the last of the month. So it was nice to carry it over month to month. I'm glad that I restarted in September a few months later for this video to end this video. I think it rounded the video out. I think it rounded my perception of this challenge out. And I think it definitely taught me some lessons that I will take forward in my reading and if I ever attempt a challenge like this again. I have wrap-ups for all the months that I participated in this. I was going to say all the books at the end of this video, but it's so many books. What did I say it was? 76 books. You've seen the books throughout this video. I don't think you need me to say them again, but if you want more information, like I said, I have wrap-ups for all these books, so I will leave my March, April, and September wrap-up listed down below, as well as the video from the last time that I attempted this challenge when I read 22 books in 22 days. Let me know if you've ever attempted a challenge like this. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I read here. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!